Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Press Talk Sports Live. I am your host, Jeff Weisinger, sports editor here at the Brentwood Press. Joining me once again, as always, or almost always, the Man 22 national champion, the one and only Juan Cebreiros. You have like a month left here. I would say a month here left, but
a month and a half
or so.
Month and change, yeah.
Are you excited about?
Absolutely. What kind of question is this?
I mean, like,
get the hell away from this place.
Are you excited to kind of get out of? Is you excited to get out of Brentwood?
Yeah, I'm going from Brentwood to Fresno. It's a very.
I feel like you're going to Brentwood to Brentwood Plus.
Yeah, Brentwood on.
It's a 1-to-1 mix. I mean, Fresno State. You got a chance to go. You've visited there, kind of started getting everything ready.
Very nice campus, very nice city. I think it'll
that was a very PA answer.
Because it's like we just went. We left at 5 a.m. I was tired. It was 3-hour drive. So like,
did you stop anywhere on the way?
No.
Yep. You went straight.
So we left at 5. The thing started at 8:30. So we just had to just go.
Oh, you went. Oh, you left. Man, you definitely did it on Filipino time.
We had to. I'm not a morning person. We just had to.
I've noticed you're not a morning person. We were supposed to do this podcast on Monday first off. I was only not a morning person.
Pedal to the floor, down 99.
The country song writes itself.
Yes, it does. I got the only playlist in the country where you go from Too Short to George Strait to the Beatles.
What we need is a Too Short George Strait collab.
No, that'd actually be interesting.
It'd be very interesting to have. We've seen it. Like, I remember when Nelly did the whole album with like Tim McGraw back in the day.
That's right.
That was
right. Hey,
it was low key a banger.
Beyonce's doing country music now, so you know what? Hey,
I mean, quote unquote country music.
Is it country music if George Strait just denounces it?
No.
To
me, like, because country music has really taken on.
Isn't he the king of country?
Keep in mind this. Country music has really taken on its own thing these last couple of years. It's kind of gone more into like pop rock, right?
Yeah, and that's why all the old people.
So like traditional country, a lot of people hate it, and I understand the arguments for it, but
like a lot of the tradition, like the older generation of traditional country artists, listeners, they don't like.
Yeah, no, my dad's not a big fan of a lot of it. There's some cats he does like he likes Jason Aldean. I'm a big fan of Dan and Shay. Who I listened to the other day? He was on SNL actually. You know what I'm talking about?
Morgan Wallen.
There you go. Thank you.
Was he on SNL? Are you gonna walk off?
Was he on SNL?
Are you gonna walk off the goodbye?
He said, well, first off, let's be honest. Look, he did a guest appearance. He got the check. Whatever, fine. But you gotta keep in mind, like, you went on the most liberal show. Like, I'm not. Obviously, we all know I'm not right wing or anything like that. But like, you went on the most liberal show possible, and you out here complaining, "Get me back to God's country." If you knew that, why do you accept this? Why do you accept this?
Yeah, you kind of
set yourself up.
We all know what SNL is.
Like, no, and it's fine. Like, I love SNL. I love SNL. Like, I've been watching that. Like, I'm a New Yorker, so obviously it's part of my culture.
Homer, anyway.
Yeah, obviously. But we got a lot to go over today. First and foremost, congratulations to Liberty baseball and softball. Baseball winning their first B-Val title in 3 years since 2022. And then softball.
I've really been graduated from high school for 3 years.
Oh, just wait till you hit your 20th high school reunion. We think that's something.
God have mercy.
And also shout out to Liberty softball for their second straight B-Val title, the second straight undefeated season.
Yeah, undefeated.
20 straight wins in the B-Val.
Liberty. Something about Liberty not losing league games.
Sometimes. You know who else doesn't lose league games? Pittsburgh. Did you see Pittsburgh's ban on Cron 4 this morning? For that July. So Cron 4 had a contest of like submit your high school band, and they want one of the local high school bands kind of performing for the July 4th special, right? It was gonna be tape performance, whatever. And so I guess several bands tried to get in. Several bands tried to, they applied whatever. Pittsburgh won it. And so they spent all morning. They were performing live at the auditorium. They performed live from like 7 a.m. to like 10 o'clock. Every hour. It
doesn't surprise me because they don't call it a band. They call it the...
It's not a show band. It's the...
marching show band.
Marching show, something like that.
They call it... Yeah.
It wasn't a marching one, but it was like the show band. It sounded
whatever
good.
It is, it's very impressive. If your band can play Blow the Whistle and...
They bust... To be fair, since we're talking about Beyonce, they also played Beyonce.
Hold on. If your band can play California Love and blow the whistle, your band's got something cooking. I'm not
Really,
gonna lie.
really,
Anyway,
though. But
anyway.
it sounded good, so shouts to that. So that was actually kind of cool. We mentioned Bebo, like, we did win everything but football.
Liberty had 1 year in there.
That feels like anything pre-COVID is pretty much prehistoric
feel like
ages.
forever. That's 7 years ago now. God.
Like, my COVID card is a fossil.
They are now. That Liberty team is not eligible for the Hall of Fame, I'm pretty sure.
I'm waiting for that. It's already overdue.
I don't know when that's going to happen.
It should have happened already.
It should
5 years, 2023. Well, I guess because, 23, they got... Last year was 24 was the Falcons team. That Falcons, 2016 Falcons.
Yeah.
So I guess it should be
Well, I know what they like to do is they like to wait until, the players have some sort of a life or career, and then they want to, kind of do it a little bit after the fact.
These guys don't need a whole life. And don't wait till these guys are 40, 45 years old. Or what.
Speaking of that, if I'm at Fresno and the Hall of Fame nominates me, I will drive up the day.
First off, let me just say, your. I feel like if I say your, it sounds weird now. But your nomination, you should be a first ballot, considering you're the one that has the national title.
I will drive up at the day of.
We need to make that argument because weirdly
barring
enough,
gas, emergencies,
they need to spot you on gas.
Acts of God, I will
the acts of God we can't control.
Day.
But I will say though, your nomination is really interesting because you are. Not that I'm really trying to go through the history of the LUHSC Hall of Fame, but I don't know how many have a national title.
Yeah.
A lot of it's NCS, some state, right? But from a national title, I think you may be the only one.
We'll see. I mean,
at the moment,
Hardwick always says he's going to nominate me and Coach Kevin.
I am doing the introduction. I am so doing the introduction. Well, it is culture.
I mean, we'll see it happens because there are some. There are some people who say it's not sport.
Look, and I will tell them it is, and we will explain it to them. We will. I will introduce you, and you'll be like, "This is why it's
Hey,
sport."
No one can run the same 4 money plays on Madden quite like me. Thank you. And with that, let's get this show on the road.
Here's how I want it. I did the same thing over and over and over and over, and you couldn't stop it.
To be fair, my opponent did the same thing. So
to be fair, that's pretty much the MCS.
Yeah.
To be fair, if you played competitive Madden, that pretty much is competitive Madden.
It gets a little bit of a chess match, but other than that, not really.
It's a chess match of what quick alteration can I make to throw this guy off?
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's not even.
It's like, hey, look over there.
That's my biggest gripe with Madden. It's just so repetitive. Everyone, you and I have been in the competitive scene. Everyone it's the same roster. Well, you did the regs, but same Madden cards.
Well, everyone used Tampa Bay that year, so.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
Roster, everyone
roster,
used the same roster.
plays, same exact thing, and it's kind of okay.
Well, what sets you apart is if you know how to stop those same plays.
Right. But then you're doing the same defense, the same thing. It's just so okay. Do the same thing in an actual football game.
I have an idea.
We could do the funniest thing ever, right?
Maybe the Browns will win 5 games this year. Jesus. I have an idea.
But yeah, so congratulations to Liberty baseball and softball for winning B-Val. Liberty runs.
Liberty just got hot.
They really did. They really did.
Especially with what kind of happened this season
with everything. And
the Llama Orinda tournament seemed to be their turnaround when they beat Camp Lindo.
We're gonna get to a lot of that as we kind of go on this season review, playoff preview episode of the Press Talk Sports Live. We have a little bit to go over. The one thing I want to start off with, and I kind of want this pretty much housekeeping. We finally have our own social media account. Our own Instagram account, I should say.
For sports.
For sports. So you can see a lot more of our BS on that. This is a project that... So here's a couple of reasons why. First off, we had people complain to the press that we were covering sports too much. True story. And this it's not recently 2 weeks ago. This was for months. This year especially. And to be honest...
There's some arguments to be made there. On both sides.
But to be honest, also, when we also kind of try to compete with the big guns, we do our job. And we do our job well. That's the way I see it.
Allegedly.
But a lot of people complain, allegedly. But a lot of people complain we got complaints oh, you guys cover sports too much, you're doing da-da-da-da. I found that pretty funny. I was wow, what else is happening here? But also, what else is happening here? Right? we're keeping it. This has been something that, from a sports department side of it, it's been something that we've been kind of building up for a while now. So I'm very happy to have it. It's just depressed_sports. The profile picture is coming soon. I've been getting messages about what we should use the profile picture, and it's pretty much the players. So I don't know how it's going to go. But it goes to the social media kind of goes to how we're going to be approaching sports going into the 25-26 year. Obviously, with you leaving, it's going to be a little bit different. Everything's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, not my problem.
We're going to try to do more. I want us to focus more on the storytelling aspect of it. We've done a lot of games and a lot of game stories, and I kind of want us to pivot more towards like storytelling features, stuff like that. We do have someone new coming in, Eric Morford, who used to work for the press a couple years ago. So he's coming back. He was teaching Acalanes down in Lafayette. Now he's going way back to Brentwood. So he'll be coming in. We're actually going to have an episode. We'll introduce him in an episode next when he gets in a couple weeks.
We'll be doing my goodbye episode around that time too.
You may be. We're gonna kick you out of the episode halfway through. Is what's gonna happen.
That is a great way to do it.
That would be actually.
That's actually a good way to do it.
It's like, okay, it's like just look at you like, oh, you're still here. We'll have Lola escort you out.
Lovely.
So sports is changing here at the press as far as how we do things. It's going to look a lot different. I know people hate change. I can go so much further with that, but it's gonna work out in the end. So I'm actually really excited to kind of get that going.
It's one step.
It is. I'm excited, and you're going to see a lot of stuff more on socials. This podcast finally kind of has like a home for the clips and everything, so we're not flooding the press socials with all of the podcast clips and everything. So that'll be good. But I'm excited for it. It's a good project. It's just stuff I've done when I was at Aloni, kind of building up a sports section. I was at CCNY building up a magazine. Obviously everything I've learned at Berkeley. So definitely using that. So I'm excited for that.
Learn things at Berkeley.
When in the third month of your first year, when people get elected and things hit the fan, yeah, you start learning some stuff.
That's fair.
You start learning some things real quick.
That's fair.
Because everything flipped on its head, man. Let me tell you something.
When you put it like that, I guess.
So it was a little different back then. But yeah, so very excited to kind of have it going. So a lot of people have supported and kind of started following the page. Thank you guys so much. I mean, to everyone who's kind of like watched, who's like supported us, who's kind of followed up with us and such, thank you guys so much for just kind of like supporting us and what we do and what we're trying to do here. We really do appreciate it. I feel like I had like a whole speech ready for this, and it just kind of like didn't happen. So
nice.
Which is pretty much ballpark for how we do things here, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to it. BFL title game yesterday, Liberty at Heritage. The first game was a lot closer. At Liberty, Lions lost. With a chance to win the BFL on Tuesday. They lost 5-2.
Jace Bernard,
which kept
5 of their beautiful innings.
And it was much closer, much tighter game. It kept Heritage in the hunt, and it kind of forced Thursday to be the winner take all.
Kind of like a de facto title.
It became a league title game.
Yeah.
Liberty said, we're not doing this again.
Liberty handled business. I'm not going to lie. Liberty went out there and just hit.
Right.
And a lot and hard. Everything was hit hard for most of the day.
Right.
Which, that's impressive to begin with. Like, every out was a loud out.
They were just ready.
Even though they went up three up, 3 down in the first inning, like everything was loud and hit well. Or barreled, I should say.
Like, it was tight for the first half of the game. It was like only 3-0 after the third. Like Liberty, Heritage, right, still in it.
And then the
fourth inning happened. 12 batters, 8 runs. Liberty, Heritage kind of gets the run back. Heritage gets the run back in the bottom half off of solo home run by Alonso Alvarez. But
what's the old Giants headline that all the Giants fans use as like a meme? It's like Giants rallied together to score a run.
To be fair, that was almost. It was funny you mention that because that was pretty much Heritage yesterday.
Granted, they almost brought the time gun to the plate.
Well, I want to get to that because it's 12-1 going into the 6th inning.
Yeah.
So you're kind of thinking like, okay, this one's pretty much over.
You're kind of getting the last 6 outs.
I am putting because I had to get to Deer Valley for the football show for the spring showcase. I'm putting Deer Valley on my Apple Maps, getting ready to go because I have to drive around Deer Valley Road. Knowing me, I would have got lost there.
How?
Listen, It is new. I don't go past Heritage. Do you not know the rules of the Shadowlands?
You make a right onto the road and then you drive straight.
Let me tell you something.
You make another right.
Let me tell you something. When I first moved here, I avoided Vasco so I don't get lost.
You go straight for 20 miles.
Do you not know the rules of the Shadowlands?
I think you're just overcomplicating
I am not overcomplicating it.
Vasco, you don't even turn. You just go straight.
First off, do you know how people die on Vasco?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a statistic.
I feel like every time I drive on Vasco, I see a new cross or a memorial, flower bed. And
I do the same thing.
Almighty.
It's going to get to the point once you get on Vasco, it's pretty much going to church.
Yeah.
Like, as bad as that sounds. Anyways, so I remember sitting in that press box deck they have on home plate.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. I'm kind of going through photos. I'm like, hey, it's an 11-run game. Let me start getting my stuff ready so I can post, so I can do my socials and kind of get a jump on it, right? Heritage scores 5 runs. The parents are all like, 13-run rally. We got this. I'm sitting here like, please don't. Not to say I don't want to see Heritage win. I'm not trying to be there longer than I needed to.
Right.
We had things to do, right? Heritage. This is what kind of scares me about Liberty going into the postseason. Heritage outscored Liberty 7-0 in the last 2 innings.
And Heritage brought the tying run to the on-deck circle?
Yes.
Yeah, they brought the tying run to the on-deck circle, and that's
crazy to me.
And that's kind of insane.
So, they nearly came back. So the one thing where, yes, Liberty did. I remember talking with Lonsdale, and he said, we did enough in the early game to kind of not have it happen.
Yeah.
You were outscored 7. Yeah, you outscored 7-1 in the last 3 innings. Yeah. Right? And I get, look, you have a freshman closer.
Yeah,
you have a young team, a sophomore starter. The youth definitely kind of came up.
Yeah.
And, you did enough, so you won. Congratulations, and it's a great moment for you guys and everything. But the last 2 innings are very scary for me going into the postseason.
Yeah, we all think playoff baseball, especially growing up with all of us watching the Giants. You think 1-run games, bullpen kind of is what wins it for you, timely hitting.
Right.
And that's kind of the recipe for success in the playoffs. And, you cannot do that blowing. They didn't blow the lead. You cannot do that.
You can't do it up 11.
I don't know the word for it, but you cannot give that scare.
You can't give.
You can't play with fire.
Right. And my thing with Heritage, Heritage has been good all year. Really,
if you think about this, these games aren't first or 3, or these series. It's not like you're playing a series. It's one game.
But I would love it if the playoffs are best of 3. I feel like series like this would make it. Like a series like this, especially. I mean, you don't have to be Val tournament.
Yeah.
Fine. But if we can have the playoffs start early, your playoff series should be best.
At least make the NCS Championship Series a best of 3.
That'd be great, honestly. But anyways, Heritage has been good all year, so it's not surprising they scored runs because we know they have the firepower to do it.
Yeah.
It's really surprising that this Liberty team, we have to say, they nearly blew an 11-run lead. For as awesome it is winning their first title in 3 years, for as good as they were been pretty much since Lonnie came back, they only lost twice. The second loss being against Heritage on Tuesday. Right, for as good as
they've only lost to Heritage and Granada, the best team in the
Granada. I forgot about Granada.
Granada only took down De La Salle yesterday. So.
Right. So they've only lost twice. So when you think about that, Liberty's really they've been hot, right? So to see them get halfway to blowing an 11-run lead is kind of and then who are they probably going to face in the playoffs?
It's likely De La Salle.
So now you're going in and playing one of the best teams in the area.
Well, okay. So granted, these rankings are not updated. Yet. These rankings are from the 14th.
So Tuesday.
Yes. So this is before Granada beat De La Salle, before Liberty beat Heritage. So Liberty was at the bottom, was the 16th seed in D1. Granted, their win against Heritage is going to push them up. Heritage,
and being the league title, and being league champ.
League champ might push. They're going to get a home game. 90% sure they'll get a home game.
Unless they play someone higher.
Unless they play like Granada, who won their league and things like that. But I don't see them sticking to a 16 seed.
No, I don't see that either, honestly.
Maybe they climb up to 12. I don't know if they climb all the way to top 8. That's the only thing.
I wonder if they get inside top 10, like maybe 9 or 10.
I'm thinking
It's just
12. 12 is kind of my best bet right now.
But it's looking like Granada de la Salle. So now we need to talk about the playoff matchup because...
But if we're looking at 12, 12-5, playing Petaluma, I think they won their league.
So they won their league, then they go into Petaluma.
See, one thing I think the NCS committee tries to do is, like, if you win your league, you can't change who's in what bracket, but you can change within the brackets. Right. So I think what they try to do is if you win your league, they try to get you an opponent where you do have a home game.
Right.
So I don't know if Petaluma won their league. Maybe they play someone like... I'm trying to think of leagues off the top of my head. College Park's not in that Clayton Valley League. Maybe they match up against someone like Dublin or...
That'd be an interesting matchup.
Or Foothill. Because Foothill's an eval.
So Division I standings, yes.
So, it's hard to say. I have a feeling they're going to end up at 12.
I know what's funny about it is if you look at the Division I standings, Heritage is ranked higher.
Heritage is ranked higher regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what happens with the playoff loss now, because you can imagine if Heritage is seated higher than Liberty, who won league. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think if Liberty's 12, Heritage will be 13. Like,
so they'll be back to back.
They'll be not more like 2 spots apart.
Right. I'm very curious.
It'll be very interesting.
Seating's happening Sunday.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Right.
Freedom, I think, had to win both games against Deer Valley to get in. Am I thinking of the right sport? I could be thinking of softball.
I think Freedom did both.
Well,
I don't see a world where Deer Valley. Freedom swept Deer Valley combined 28-0 in between 2 games. I think Deer Valley forfeited.
But what's the record?
The standings?
No, the record for Freedom, because you got to be above 500.
Freedom's 5-5.
Yeah, okay, so they'll
Freedom's 500. Yeah, Freedom is 500 in the league.
So they'll find a spot to get in, which is
D2, D3.
D3 most likely. Looking at these rankings,
Pittsburgh's going to be. Where does Pittsburgh fall into? Because they have to change the schedule, and it's Pitt.
I don't know if I'm assuming they swept Antioch.
Yeah. I
don't know if them sweeping Antioch might push them to D1, but then you look at the bottom half of D1 and it's like, okay, well then who does that push out?
Right.
Redwood maybe, SRV maybe.
Does Pittsburgh
might stay at the top of D2.
Do you think they get number 1 seed at D2?
They're not going to get the...
Oh, they can't because,
Cardinal Newman exists.
Right. No one cares about Cardinal Newman.
They are fifth. They are ranked... Just preferencing this. They're ranked 5th in NCS, but they're the top seed in Division 2. Because there's no open bracket for baseball.
The NCS, where does it all make sense?
Yeah, a little bit. So, I think we're looking at baseball standings. I think Liberty and Heritage are going to end up between 10 and 13.
Right.
Somewhere around there. I think Pitt's going to stay at the top of D2. And I think Freedom, 47, bottom half of D3, looking at no higher than 9.
It's a good showing for the B-Val, I think, when 46 kind of make it.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly, like Antioch and Deer Valley.
Deer
Valley, they had fun. But like when 4 or 6 make it,
yeah, when 4 over 6 make it,
and 4th is 5-5. I think it's a very good showing for the league overall.
Oh, absolutely.
It's funny because you get the top 2 teams that everyone was watching this year were Pittsburgh and Heritage. So it's really interesting that Liberty, Liberty kind of coming in, that storyline is very fascinating.
It's very interesting because you looked at a lot of the early pre-league, before league rankings. Pitt was in the top 15 in the Bay Area for a long time.
But yeah, keep in mind they won 13 in a row.
They did win a lot of games. They beat They shut out Camp Lindo start the season, if I'm not mistaken. And they picked up another big win over another program.
But also, who else beat Campo?
Liberty also beat Camp Lindo. But looking at Pittsburgh, wow, there's a Pittsburgh in Texas. Interesting.
There's also Paris in Texas, for what it's worth.
They got everything, don't they? But so they opened up the season shutting out Vaca High. They did beat Camp Lindo 7-6. They lost 4-1 to Granada, which it's kind of a solid showing. You kind of take that against Granada for what it's worth. But then league hit, and then Pitt just struggled to drop a game.
And that's really surprising when you think about
a game to Freedom, blown out by Heritage, swept by Liberty, and then
honestly,
and then granted, you end the season giving up 5 runs and scoring
against Antioch. But let's be honest, like those last 4 games, you're playing the bottom 2 of the league.
Yeah.
So I don't want to count those.
Well, they beat some small school out of Fremont too earlier in the season.
Oh, Irvington?
Nope, the one below that one.
We're not in Fremont.
Oh, Union City. That's right. Oh, that's right.
Good job.
I know my Bay Area.
Yo, me as Union City ends up in Newark.
But
Geography.
Just looking at their schedule, it's like, yeah, they racked up wins, but the only real interesting win is Camp Lindo.
They racked up wins.
Other than that, it's like,
here's my thing. They racked up wins. You know, Campo, I think should have been is supposed a quality win, but then after like Liberty beat them also, it's like how good it really was.
But like, if you're just looking at Pitt's schedule and you're looking at if you're gonna rank all their wins on the year,
I actually
Campo's gonna be up there, and it's gonna be a steep drop off.
But I will look at the losses in league because like they should not be like. And this is I'm not trying to throw shade at any of the teams, but they shouldn't be losing to Freedom.
It's just interesting. This is
they should be losing Freedom. There's no way in hell they should have lost 19-4 to Heritage.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Heritage couldn't have won that game, but I was surprised to see 19-5.
It's just very interesting that a lot of that they were ranked as high as they were in the Bay Area rankings.
And it just fell apart.
And they didn't play anyone.
True.
They played Campo and that's it.
Granada, obviously, because Granada's Granada.
I mean,
Campo's legitimate. I mean,
but like, who else did you beat? Like looking at taking Liberty's preseason for example, they played Cal playoff team. Dublin was a playoff team. They lost to that. Alcalanes is a top 8 seed, I believe. Mm-hmm. Camp Lindo's up there, and then East Union. Who are these people? Out of Manteca, not the best loss to have, but it's early in the season. So it's unique, and they racked up wins when they needed to. Liberty didn't lose the games.
But and that's the crazy part. Like Liberty got hot really from La Miranda tournament going onward. Yeah. Right. And keep in mind the La Miranda tournament was without Lonnie.
Yeah.
That was with Billy Rose as the interim.
Interim manager, head coach. What do they call in high school?
Yeah, head coach.
Ah, okay.
They won't call him manager. They won't call him manager in high school. It's too there's too much tradition in coaching.
I guess.
But it's interesting because like you look at that team. I didn't think they would close to really. If you compare Liberty and Heritage, now I guess now is Pittsburgh kind of out of the picture in that right?
Yeah.
If you look at Liberty and Heritage was just hot like all freaking year, right? You started 4-0. The Benicia loss in extras really is okay. Cool, we take that.
I mean, Benicia's top 8 seed,
right?
Yeah.
And then you rip 6 in a row.
I think when you look at this,
Heritage, you rip 6 in a row. You had the extra inning loss at Redwood. You have 2 extra inning losses. Then you come back, you blow Brand Christian Rancho Mirage out of the freaking tournament.
That's interesting that they ranked above
their losses.
Losing to them.
Liberty minus Thursday. Heritage's losses were no more than maybe 2 runs.
Yeah.
Right. So they had a lot of close. Like the Pittsburgh loss at Pitt was just a pitcher's duel.
Yeah.
And you tip your cap to that. The way they bounced back was really impressive. Freedom, I was surprised. I was really surprised more was Freedom not really showing up for that series against Heritage. Antioch and Liberty, like, I didn't really expect yesterday to happen the way it did, especially considering how Tuesday went.
We really didn't know what we were walking into, to be fair.
But Liberty really surprised me a lot on the other side of it because this was a team that, they're trying to find consistency early on. You have the Lonsdale suspension, right? And then, like, when he came back, it's almost as if the suspension really inspired that team.
Yeah, it really, I think that really got the fire.
I remember being at Castro Valley. I remember going to the game at Castro Valley when the first game Billy took over. And that's when everyone kind of told me what happened. I had no idea what was happening. And you saw something different with this team. You saw a sense of grit with this team.
Yeah.
That I don't feel was there a year ago. Yeah. Compared to years past, right? There was an energy that wasn't when I started covering this team in 23, there was an energy to this team.
Yeah.
Right? 24, it felt like it was missing. I don't know what it was, but it felt like it was missing, in my opinion. This year, I think the suspension kind of woke this team up, and you see it in the results.
Yeah.
Right?
They really do. And I mean, you see, like, I remember looking at this, looking at the rankings at one point in the season, they were bottom of D2. And now they really climbed their way all the way to D1. We'll see where they stand come Sunday,
Right.
but
You look, the Granada loss, like,
it's a really big turnaround.
keep in mind the Granada loss, they led early on.
Yeah.
They were up 3-0 in that game.
They led, and then Granada kind of remembered.
Granada
kind of remembered, hey, we're the best team in the Bay Area.
Granada said, come on, we're not Brentwood.
It's kind of interesting a public school's that good at baseball, though. Like, baseball's such a...
It's Livermore, brother.
I know, but baseball is such an interesting sport compared to the others. Like, you can't just pick up and start playing it.
No.
And usually the private schools dominate baseball.
Because they have
And it's interesting a public school is the one dominating baseball.
It's Livermore. So keep this... I think I get what you're getting at. Keep in mind it's Livermore. Keep in mind the location.
Livermore High is D2.
Granada has more money than Livermore High. Granada's on the good side of town.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Does it play a part in it? Probably. But I mean, just for...
But for baseball, I mean, you know this a lot more than me.
Yeah.
Baseball is not a cheap sport to do. To play.
But I mean, like, you look... But, like...
In general.
Private schools run NCS. We all know this. Well, like...
Which is also why, like... I mean, you're not talking about...
I don't mean they run NCS, like, they control it. I mean, like, they just dominate it.
But also, like, this also gets to an argument where it's like, do you put private schools in NCS? Because I always say, you and I talked about this before with the Catholic schools, especially for football.
Well, no, you have to put them in a section that says, what do you do with them in league?
But you put them in their own league. I am in the proponent of the private schools. Private schools, Catholic schools, they should be in their own league.
I think Granada's Spino de La Salle in their league, especially if we're going to beat them 5-1.
But even if, like, but you don't need to be doing that.
Whatever Granada's got going for them, it's working. Just so
it's working. They got a couple.
It's
D1 guys. I will say that. I'm talking with the people at Granada during the Liberty game. Some of the Granada parents.
And you know what's funny? They graduated so many seniors last year, and yet they come back and do it again. It's kind of eye opening.
You know, start checking birth certificates.
You know,
it only sounds stupid if it isn't true.
Yeah.
Until somebody comes up, you're like, wait a second.
It doesn't sound that crazy.
It's only crazy if it's false.
So, I mean, we'll see what playoffs take us Sunday.
What all gets seeds.
Liberty should be home. Heritage will likely, I almost guarantee will be on the road.
I'm curious where they're going to end up. McKinleyville.
No, McKinleyville's bottom of D2.
Are you serious?
Honestly, no, that's not possible. As of right now,
imagine
8, 9. Right now they would play Casa Grande, which is Napa, right?
Casa Grande,
somewhere up there in Napa.
Can we not travel?
I believe that's Napa.
Are they going to make us travel? They're going to make us travel, huh?
Petaluma, excuse me, Petaluma, North Bay.
Okay, it's not as bad.
But then Petaluma's right there. So, I mean, as it stood right now, I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think Liberty's going to play. The standings are a few days old, so bear with us. Liberty's not going to play De La Salle. Heritage might end up with the Casa Grande matchup. I don't think so. Maybe they play Benicia again. That would be kind of funny.
That would be something, actually. I kind of
have a feeling they'll play Foothill.
Hear me out. Liberty Heritage round 1.
That's not happening. They might play Foothill. Pitt will host. Funny enough, Pitt might host McKinleyville. And then Freedom.
McKinleyville didn't win the league, right? They didn't. No, right?
Either one. Actually, that's a good point. I don't know. That's a really good point. And then Freedom in D3 would 13 plays 4. They'd play Bishop O'Dowd. God bless. Okay. Well,
that was the GG's.
It was fun while it lasted, team.
I really thought we'd see more out of Freedom this year than we did.
I feel like we saw.
I think we saw
a good glimpse.
But I thought we'd see a bit more, and I say that from watching them like in non-league. And I'm like, okay, they have something. There's a little bit of magic here, and then to me, it just never really seemed to come up in league.
I mean, I think it's still a good season. I mean, you take a game off of Pitt, but then you get swept by your rivals, so that's always frustrating.
Right.
I just think by the times they played Liberty and Heritage were just very unfortunate because Liberty was coming in red hot and Heritage was on a roll.
That's
so
true.
I think they also kind of I don't want to say like their win against Pitt was lucky, but they kind of things broke for them that that Pitt was kind of on a downswing.
Fit them.
Yeah. So a lot of factors.
I was surprised when they won. Like when Freedom beat them, I was like, okay, this makes sense because Freedom's been like dumb hot all year. And when they won 3 at Pitt, let alone, that was really stunning.
Shutout against Pitt. That's insane.
That was really stunning to me.
But anyway, that's baseball.
I'm excited to see what this playoff. But Sunday's going to be comedy
interesting.
Hour. Honestly,
Sunday's going to be an interesting day.
Sunday's going to be comedy hour, in my opinion.
A lot of projects due on Sunday, so.
All
of those stressing at the end of the college semester, I am right there with you. It is not fun.
Weak. And if you think college projects or something, oh brother, oh boy.
And then softball, the biggest question mark. Liberty's not the 1 seed. I don't understand this one.
Here's my thing.
Liberty beat Cal and Valley.
You and I have talked about this. I know I've talked with coaching staff at Liberty about this. I've talked with several people about this. How Liberty is not a 1 seed over a team they beat.
Over 2 teams they beat.
Over 2. Well, right now I'm looking at the D1 standings. They're actually so they're actually second. Yeah.
When was that updated?
As of May 16th.
Oh, really? So that's brand new.
Yeah, this is brand new. These are updated.
I wonder if the baseball just got updated then, because do they update at noon? I can't remember.
So, as of I get a time conversion, but as of May 16th, as of 7:02 global GMT.
What is that? Global Standard
Time?
Global
Standard Time. So pretty much at the middle of the planet.
That's weird. The baseball ones aren't updated. Anyway, sorry. Go on with softball.
So your top 5 right now: Castro Valley in order. Castro Valley, Liberty, James Logan, San Leandro, California.
Wait, where are you saying Liberty ranked second?
D1 softball standings.
Look at NCS as a whole.
Let me look at NCS as a whole.
Look at North Coast section rankings. This one,
dude, that doesn't come up.
Oh my god, does the old man not know how to work technology? No, you're in standings. Go to rankings.
Oh, rankings. Okay.
God, this guy doesn't know how to use technology.
Well, maybe if we had proper freaking playoffs. Okay, so they're behind 2 teams that they beat. Yes. So they're behind So when were these updated? These are as of. Do you see a date on
May 13th. Okay, then. So these are
going into this week. Going into this week, Liberty is third in the NCS behind Castro Valley, who they beat, behind California, who they beat. They are above San. Hilarious enough, they're above San Juan Valley, who beat them in extra innings.
Because the
NCS.
What are rankings? What are tiebreaker procedures?
Right.
Who needs any of that? We can just flip a coin. You know what I mean? Also, this is kind of funny. If these rankings hold up, Liberty would play James Logan in the first round.
They'd host. Liberty's gonna host.
That'd be really funny.
But
this isn't gonna hold up. This is entering this week.
Nah. Logan also won league, but I think Liberty would host.
This isn't gonna hold up though.
Liberty, to me, I think it's gonna be damning if they finish if they're second behind Castro Valley. Because Castro Valley,
how is this not a one? Like, how is this not a 1 seed?
Look, Castro Valley, even if they won yesterday, I don't know if they won because these aren't updated. The standings are updated. The rankings are not because that makes sense. First of Liberty, back-to-back 20-win seasons for the first time in program history. Back-to-back undefeated seasons for the first time in program history. Back-to-back BVAL titles, outright BVAL titles, first time in program history. How this team with a higher strength of schedule to Castro Valley is behind them makes no sense. I want NCS to email me to say, hey, we heard the podcast, thank you. And to also be like, here's why. I would love a reason because common sense would say, right? And
hold on.
These
rankings come from Max Preps, not NCS. That's why.
Can we just get rid of Max Preps?
I mean,
can we just make? We live in the technology capital world.
Can that's interesting. The Sac Joaquin playoffs are out already. Huh. Anyway.
Look, Liberty to me, this Liberty team should be a one.
This should be an undoubted 1 seed.
This should be
granted. they did lose to Casa Grande. Maybe that's holding them back. I don't know. So the top 5 seeds in D1.
But they have a higher rating.
But the top 5 seeds in D1 are interesting because Liberty beat Cal and Castro Valley, but then they lost to SRV and Casa Grande. But they beat Livermore, who's the 6th. So you kind of got the NCS Division I food chain going on here. Look, Liberty's going to get a home game. They're going to host something. Hopefully they smack whoever they play. Granada's even up here, and Liberty beat them too. Wow. Yeah, this should be a 1 seed.
This year, I don't see where you fit the argument where this isn't a 1 seed. Considering who's ahead of them.
The only argument you have is if you rank SRV above Casa Grande, but I think SRV lost to Cal, if I'm not mistaken, pretty badly.
That's probably the only other. They have two draws.
So
they lost to Cal. They lost to Cal last Thursday.
Yeah, they lost to Cal. And then I don't know. This is just a bunch.
I don't see. I don't know, and I know people are going to see it as, oh, you guys,
The frustrating part about this is Castro Valley has only played Liberty and none of the other 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Castro Valley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing else to get. However, Liberty beat Archbishop Mitty, so that's got to be some brownie points, right?
But then I think, I don't want to say the Saturday losses in the Stampede hurt them, but I feel like that hurt them.
They did. That's what's hurting them, I think.
And I feel that, but when you look at the overall body of work,
they did because Whitney's not Division I in their section, and Casa Grande's right there.
But so when you're behind the 2 teams you beat, the head-to-head should mean something.
So yes, Liberty has that argument. However, Casa Grande and SRV also have that argument.
Liberty, Santa Monica Valley has 3 more losses. Casa Grande has 1 more loss.
Like I said,
so the overall record.
Like I said,
if they were close.
However, these Max Preps rankings are calculated. I just would love to sit down and have a conversation.
I want the masterclass on how they're doing the math on this.
Because I don't get it. It's one thing if the press or the media or the parents don't get it, or even the players. It's another thing if the coaches and the athletic directors don't get it. No one gets it. That's bad. If the athletic directors and the coaches aren't understanding it, that is a bad system.
But this is why I also say, to me, and you and I we've had this discussion before. To me, the way international soccer does it with their Champions League, and the way you have each league has their representatives in the playoffs, per division. So obviously EBL is going to be a D1 spot. The BVL can be up there. And the other leagues, right, and stuff like that. I think that way is a lot better. Because then who's it's not even a question rankings and ratings and all these who's getting in. You finish top 3 in the league, you're going to the NCS. You do this, you're going to NCS, right?
Well, they have that in place. It's just a matter of where it's
a lot more individual. Yeah, it feels a lot more individual. I don't see where.
I think a system that's not transparent with the coaches and athletic directors is an awful system. Because
I agree.
You have coaches and athletic directors coaches asking us if we understand the rankings. That's not our pay.
No, it's not a pay grade.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's lightweight, not pay grade, but it's also when it's not as it doesn't feel as direct as it should be, in my opinion.
Look, if you look up how does Max Preps calculate their rankings, I will do this right now.
Hey Google, what if we have ChatGPT?
How does Max Preps rankings? Max Preps rankings are primarily based on a team's win-loss record and the strength of their schedule. So then that brings into the argument.
It's told me nothing.
So that brings into the argument, strength of schedule. Does that mean wins against good opponents or do losses against good opponents matter more?
But you know what? But if some of those good opponents, if you beat some of those good opponents, you should be ahead of them, right? Common sense. Ideally, common sense would say.
So this is rich because on one thing Max Preps...
I love that. I love the reaction.
So this is rich because one thing that Max Preps has posted is generally the more a team wins, the higher the ranking. However, the system takes into account quality wins against other highly ranked opponents and strength of schedule. So again, I asked the question. If you book a bunch of hard games
right.
and win half of them, where does that get you in the standings? Does that get you in the top half of the standings because you played a hard schedule?
Right.
Where does that get you? Do you just have to book a bunch of hard games and pray you win half of them?
I feel like we suck. Did we see that with Liberty football this year? Did we look at the non-conference schedule? Well, like cable.
And you know what's funny?
Much,
it didn't even help them that much.
It didn't.
Because NCS. So, I mean... So they say a team's ranking is hurt more by losing to a team that is ranked below them than a team ranked ahead. So, again, I ask, if you load your preseason with a bunch of good teams and get stomped, but then go undefeated in a soft league, where do you end up? And I feel like if that question cannot be answered...
But then the B-Val would be what... In the overall, then I think the B-Val will be what holds them down. And I remember talking with Brandy City Macias about this. I think a lot of Indian parents, they feel like the B-Val is holding the program back. So the question now goes, do we start having serious conversations about the B-Val? Because you got to keep in mind, Antioch they pretty much canceled the week because of low roster numbers.
Antioch canceled the week.
Deer Valley forfeited the last 2 games. Right,
and Pittsburgh really wasn't competitive this year.
Pittsburgh had fun. So do we start having that argument where the bottom half of the B-Val is really kind of holding teams like a Liberty back? Look, Heritage and Freedom, they're kind of doing their thing right now, right? But they're not. These have not historically. These have been great programs. So it's not like they've been bad. So you got to look at the bottom half, where is the Antioch Schools and Pitt, and we wonder, is it even worth it to be in a league with teams like this?
It's very frustrating the way B-Val is set up, not only geographically, because, yes, it's like, what other school are you going to pull to drive out here? Like, Pittsburgh's the furthest one.
Emerald.
Roll my eyes. I can't roll my eyes any harder than I want to right
Welcome to the league.
But, like, the way the league's set up right now, unless, like, there's a sudden surge of talent into the Brentwood, Oakley, Antioch area, there's really only going to be a couple teams that are going to be good every year. And that's what sets up the system of 1 or 2 teams being dominant,
right,
and end up being hurt by the lesser 4 teams.
Right. So my question on topic is, if you're Liberty, A, do or can you leave the B-Val?
No.
B,
I'm going to tell you that now.
B, no, but hear me out. Because you know what? As a coach, you got to do what's best for your program. For so many different reasons, right? If the league, you have half the league holding you, and in ways, you have half of the league holding you back. This should be a number 1 seed.
To fix the league, hold on. To fix the league problem, Liberty won't. To fix this league problem of competition, Liberty leaving would not be a solution that's ever on the table. It would always be a solution of what schools can we bring in. That would be.
But what if here's
so then that's the question.
Do
you bring in a Los Lomas? Do you bring in like a Concord High? Do you bring in a College Park?
Bringing Concord High, you're bringing in pretty much like Antioch, Pittsburgh, Deer Valley. It's almost the equivalent.
Yeah, like right? Do you bring in Mount Diablo maybe?
I feel like Mount Diablo would be a very interesting conversation. I know Emerald kicked tires on it. I don't know what's happening with them. They were supposed to be coming in. I don't know what's going on there, but.
Mountain House,
I feel like
just because of,
but that makes it interesting. Mountain House is very interesting because we don't go east of here.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's like, well, I think Mountain House can't join the league because I believe they're technically Sac Joaquin section.
Are they? Oh,
I believe Liberty is as east as NCS goes.
Like Liberty Heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then anything east of this is Sac Joaquin.
So my argument would be, what if Liberty went down to Granada's, Livermore's, Dublin's league? So in a sense, a reverse Emerald. Whereas now Liberty kind of becomes the northernmost team. Because if you look at the competition, look at the teams that are down there, right? Cal, in that area, right?
Ebal will not allow that. We all know that.
No, but
just straight up.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, but you need a more competitive, because you got to keep this in mind.
Liberty wouldn't do that because of
travel,
and C, I believe they have a lifetime. I don't know if they have a lifetime contract, but I'm pretty sure they have like something.
Well, I know it's 2 years.
I believe like
I was lifetime.
They're not gonna like. I just don't.
But you have to start making the argument like, listen, like you have half the league Listen, hear me out. Rebuilds happen, teams start. I understand all that, right? And hopefully it's not like this forever. God forbid.
Knock on wood.
But, look, there'll be a moment when Liberty starts trending downward. Heritage comes back up, freedom, right? All that kind of stuff. Maybe Antioch kind of comes, has that one team out of nowhere, right? God willing, Deer Valley has it, because I think for that school, any kind of success would be great, right? Maybe Pitt, because it's Pitt. It's surprising to see a bad team at Pitt.
Yeah.
To be fair. For what it's worth, though, when you have, because this was similar last year, right? It was the same half that went the same three went the bottom half, right? It's very interesting. I think you need to make the argument of like, what do we do? Because I think we're in agreement this should be a number 1 seed. It should be and come Sunday it could be. All this discussion could be for nothing, right? But if this team does not get a number 1 seed, and it is because of league play, because of the bottom half of the 6 games in league that you're supposed to play between those 3 teams, you have to have discussions like, what can we do?
This is almost like the Pac-12. This is almost like the final years of the Pac-12 where Oregon and Washington were dominating. And
so hear me out.
Okay.
Go to the eval.
But honestly,
where did Cal go?
Well, this is almost like the same issues with the Pac-12, where you had Oregon, Washington, and even USC a little bit who wanted to take the next step because they weren't going to allow 2 Pac-12 teams into the college football playoffs under the 4-team format. They weren't going to do that. However, if you were SEC, all 4 could get in. That's another debate. Anyway, but
God's league.
God's conference.
Conference.
But anyway, you're looking at it, and it's kind of like the same thing in the Pac. And it was the same thing in the Pac-12. You had certain schools dominating certain sports, but when you get into conference play, they just kind of steamrolled everything. And when they got into whatever playoffs they were in, they weren't in a favorable spot because you play that conference. Granted, the Pac-12 was the greatest conference ever invented. I don't care what anyone says.
For the Pac-12 After Dark was the greatest invention from college sports.
So James Logan's in leagues for different sports, aren't they?
So football was really interesting because we got out of 19. We were in the MVAL. That was like the last year I think we were in MVAL. COVID happened and everything kind of went out of whack. And then we went to
Mission Valley.
Mission
Valley League.
Yeah, Mission Valley Athletic League. We were in that for years. And you mentioned Lifetime League. We were in that for years. Okay, like even before I moved to California years. Like, it was historically we were in it. So we were like that Lifetime quote unquote team. And then 21, which was our first full season back after the pandemic, we went into the Western Athletic League. It was like the WAC pretty much. Like something
West Alameda.
Something along those lines, right? I want to say they're in a different league now. But we had like Tennyson.
They're in a different.
We had Tennyson, San Leandro.
But they're in one league for football, and then they're in another league for like volleyball.
I think everything else is MVAL. So football
is the only one.
Now I don't know what's happening with this new staff because they may have gone back to the MVAL. I don't know for sure. I haven't seen their schedule yet. But also Heritage Football opens at Logan
because they're not. They're not in. Bishop O'Dowd's league for the other sports.
No.
Okay.
O'Dowd's always been a non-league. I mean, O'Dowd's like a rival of ours, but they've always been like a non-league.
But in football, they're now a league opponent.
Yes. So that's very interesting because we went from the Fremont schools. So now it's like Tennyson, San Leandro, O'Dowd,
NCNL.
I don't think NCNL. I don't think we go that far north. We go to Oakland, so technically. Who else in the league? San Leandro became a thing. The Warren 880 that became a thing. It's been a thing in general, but So
my dad class 86.
Castro Valley.
My dad class 86. Him and Calcagno.
I think Castro Valley is in the league. I want to say, So
they're in it for softball.
Football, huh?
They're in it for softball. I know that.
Okay, so. It became a different.
I'm just trying to get an understanding of league hopping because you can't.
It's fine
because you can't get it for every sport.
But it goes back to the argument of if you're a coach, you're a coach and you have a good team. Look, right now, there's no question. There's Liberty teams up there. The 2024 team will be in the Liberty Union Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
in 10 years, right? I think that kind of goes without. That almost goes without saying. first undefeated, first NCS title, and first outright NCS title, the first one overall in 30 years. You look at everything that, the records that team broke, et cetera, right? You go into the semifinals, all that kind of stuff.
Someone pitched to me an idea. I'm not going to say.
I feel like
I'm not going to say who, but someone pitched me an idea of combining.
According to sources,
of combining B-Val with the Diablo Athletic League with all the lawnmower.
To me, that would kind of work though.
It would.
It would illustrate the schedule, or support it at least.
However,
because who's in the Diablo right now?
Campolindo, Acalanes, Clayton Valley.
So pretty much like the West Contra-ish schools, right? Like Lafayette out that way.
Hold on, I should know this.
So I just feel like if you're Liberty softball, I think leaving the B-Val maybe.
No, not the Allegheny Ugly Eagles.
Clayton Valley. Oh, Allegheny.
Because there was a season Clayton Valley went to the eval.
For 1 year?
Yes, they went to the eval and then immediately left.
They rented.
So yeah, Diablo Athletic League, I believe they have two. They have the Foothill, and then I forgot what the other one's called.
Okay. So
wow, Venetia's in this league. I did not know that. I did not know that.
But that goes to the argument. So it's pretty much like West Contra, that area, that part of 680 corridor. 680 to 24.
How does Benicia count though?
North.
But like that's off of
past the bridge.
That's off of 780. How does
680, 780.
Why is Benicia?
Listen, man,
why is Benicia in this league?
680, 780, Nixon 6. Okay. What I'm trying to say, like Liberty can leave.
Well,
I think it's gonna be different, and also it's gonna be different. Also, the fact we're talking about a quote unquote smaller sport. I think we need to mention that as well. Yes. No.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm pulling up something. So I just pulled up Mount Diablo.
Silence on the podcast. Great.
So Mount Diablo is in the Diablo Valley League. They're in it with Northgate, Las Lomas, Berrien Christian, Miramonte, Concord, Mount Diablo.
It's a lot of.
So here's what I think. I think if you combine BVAL with the Diablo Athletic League and you take those 12 teams in.
18 teams. And then you have two conferences.
9-9.
Right.
Yeah.
Top 4.
And then you can like relegate up and down or whatnot.
You lost me at relegation.
You can go up and down, like if the top half of the bottom part can go up.
I'm here for promotion relegation high school sports, just so you know. Because stakes.
Are we going to get this? Probably not.
No, we're never getting that. Busing. And we got to keep in mind, busing, transportation, parents are going to complain because God forbid.
Yeah, do you view going to Walnut Creek as a league game?
I view going to a league game as a league game.
Yeah, but it's Walnut Creek.
All you're doing is going past Willow Pass. Maybe a little bit down 6A. That's not bad.
Look, I don't know. Look, I don't know what they can do to bring more competition other than, hey.
But it's discussions. I feel it's discussions that need to be had.
Absolutely, and we are due for a league realignment relatively soon.
To be fair, it's one thing when it's like one school compared to the rest, right?
Yeah.
And look, right now, like obviously we do a lot with football. So like Pittsburgh obviously running the B route, but like Liberty's competitive, Heritage is competitive, Antioch's competitive, right? Deer Valley seems to be like they're gonna be on the way back up there, right?
If there was
Freedom's going to be on the way back. So that's still pretty competitive.
If there was a school to leave BVAL for one sport, I'm surprised it's not Pitt football.
I'm a little surprised by that too.
And them going not the EBAL because I think that's too much road travel, but even to the DAL where you play Campolindo, Acalanes, Clayton Valley Charter.
I think that would be much better for them.
I think so too.
But I will say this. It's not that the BVAL is not competitive. It's just not competitive for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think
like Liberty Heritage played a one possession game last year.
Right. And Pitt smacked them both.
Yeah.
Heritage drop like the most points against Pitt?
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago. They dropped 28.
You have moments. And keep in mind, but also keep in mind like, that Pittsburgh roster was like insane. That Pittsburgh roster the last couple of years has been
It was
insane.
a little ridiculous. It was a little insane. Yeah,
Right.
so many guys go to Division I colleges. Jesus Christ!
Like, you're playing against pretty much a college team. So that part is what
They
it
took
is.
on Folsom for Christ's sake.
And Folsom was like one of the top quarterbacks in the country.
They made him look silly. Granted, I think he played the second half concussed. That's another story for
I
another day.
mean, don't all football players play concussed. To be
No,
fair,
I mean like the head is barely on the neck.
like I said, all football players play much. All football players play concussed.
But like you bring up a good point because
Yeah.
Liberty scored 111 runs this season in league.
Don't include the forfeits.
They gave up 9.
Now, granted, look, credit's due where it's due. You do what you got to do in the field.
However,
but you also have to you got to take in mind who you're playing.
yeah,
And
like if
discussions, I'm just saying, discussions have to be had.
like if Alabama played South Alabama, Appalachian State, Troy, not South Florida. What's another Sun Belt school?
UCF.
UCF. If they played like they won the national title in 2017. As they self-proclaimed.
Fair.
But like if Alabama was in a conference with those schools, and like Georgia Tech and Kennesaw and all that, you would have the same thing.
Imagine Kennesaw beating Bama.
God almighty. Hey, Vanderbilt did it.
Hey, if Appalachian State can beat Michigan, anything is possible.
If Appalachian State can beat Michigan and if Vanderbilt can beat Alabama in football.
Anything is possible.
Such corny. But anyway, I mean.
But yeah, we have to talk about the other schools. Freedom has surprising showing, I think, after their start. I did not see them kind of.
Freedom had a really solid league.
Freedom was a
solid year.
Freedom, I really thought. We talked about that series.
They almost took the first game off of Liberty, funny enough.
I was going to say, we talk about that series against Liberty being like the big threat to Liberty's streak and to what Liberty was trying to do.
Liberty
the second game was kind of whatever. That first game, man, they were right there.
Liberty had 2 outs to work with in the bottom of the 7th, and they hit a tying home run. Like, that's what it took for them to win that game.
Kelsey Skaggs with the home run that shall live in infamy.
You know, that's like it took something like that for them to win that game. Granted, they didn't play well on the field. They committed 4 errors on the day, I think.
Man, I had a coach once telling me, I had a soccer coach once telling me I'd rather win a match 5-4 than 1-0.
Yeah. Funny enough,
I
think Heritage would have won that. Freedom would have won the game 5-4, if I'm not mistaken.
I know. But it's very interesting because like this is a Freedom team that coaching staff came late. You didn't really have the power you didn't have the star power on the roster like you had the last several years. When thinking about the D1 commits they had. They had a really good showing.
They have a lot of young talent that's going to be exciting.
They had a lot of seniors.
They have a freshman first baseman.
Oh, is that big girl?
She hit one off Skinner off of Liberty.
I think she's gonna be
really good.
She's gonna be good.
You saw a little bit her already kind of stepping into that leadership role a little bit. As a freshman, you'll jump at that because it's like Jesus Christ, you beg for that from your juniors and seniors, let alone your freshmen.
Let's not be rude and get names. That might be a good idea.
You beg for that from your juniors and seniors to get that from your freshmen.
Freedom softball, because I feel like we spent an hour talking about Liberty and how they should leave to B-Val. Freedom softball, 8-2 in lead. The only 2 losses came against Liberty.
Yeah.
And the second game is like almost moot point. Freedom softball, Jaden Proctor.
Yes.
Freshman first baseman.
She hit a big 2-run shot off of Skinner that kind of...
Everyone's kind of like, oh, snap.
Well, it was one of those things. Liberty had hit back-to-back home runs the inning before it take a lead, and then when she hit the home run, it was like, oh, Freedom came to play today.
Right. But this is, be losing 1, 2. They had a lot of seniors. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seniors. 7 seniors on this team. One of them was the starting pitcher, Jackie Graves.
Yeah.
But they have
even the
but even then, Riley Moon.
Yeah,
it looks like she's gonna be legit.
She was really good against Liberty the first time around. Granted, the game didn't end. She wanted it to. She did a walk off, but she pitched in and out of trouble.
But she was actually. I remember seeing her against College Park, and I was like, okay, there's something. And granted, freshmen, so you take what you can get out of that.
She's gonna be something. They got good freshmen that are gonna be cornerstones.
I will say Terrell Delauder is gonna be a great catcher for them.
Yeah,
she was good last year as a freshman. So they have a lot of parts. Every Del Real, she's going to be good. She's continuing to grow. Caitlin Slagle is going to be, she's continuing to grow as well. Who else do we? You still have Yasmin Sanchez leading off. Well, should be a leadoff hitter. She's probably one to me. I think she's the best. She outside of maybe Taylor Jennings, she may be the best leadoff hitter in the B-Val.
Correct. Yeah.
I just think Taylor outdoes her in power, but Yasmin Sanchez, it's literally like watch Ichiro. There are times I still can't believe it sometimes. I'm kind of curious what this team looks like in year 2, though. If it has the same.
They are a playoff team this year.
They will be in the playoffs.
They will be a playoff team.
8-2 in league. They finished. They had a slow start. So they're 9-1 overall. They had a very slow start to the year. The only win early on was against Granada. Weirdly enough.
I don't know
how good Granada was.
I don't know where they're going to... Okay, so softball's not as clean-cut as baseball because there's not enough teams to fill out 6 brackets for softball.
I don't think they'll host, but...
So we don't know what buys look like yet. And Gus Morris's bracket, he has Heritage at 8 and D3, and then Freedom 2 spots behind them at 10.
Sheesh, okay.
But with 2 buys.
Right.
So 14-team bracket.
So, okay. Yeah, I'm curious what this team does. Heritage, I'm anxious to where they end up in the playoffs. They'll be a playoff team. They finished 6-4, 14-10 overall, 6-4.
Mid D2, they might get a home game, maybe.
I feel like with this team, you know what? It was that surge midway through the season. From March 28 onward, they won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
And then they got into league play. They beat Dublin. What was Dublin this year?
Right.
Dublin was 2-17, so never mind about that part.
Oh my God Almighty! Gotta fit in. We can get in.
Dublin made Deer Valley look good.
Right now, Heritage would play Moreau Catholic, and Freedom would play Cloverdale. Do you know? You ever heard of Cloverdale?
I heard of Cloverfield.
Cloverdale.
I know Cloverfield.
Dale.
I know Riverdale.
So, like I said.
But this is interesting because, and
as of right now, Liberty would be missing on a bye. They'd be playing Foothill in the first round. They'd host
Foothill. They've been missing on a bye.
We were on a half-hour rant. I don't want to go on anything.
Hear me out. Liberty versus the world at this point. Just print the shirts.
I just don't
print these shirts.
It's just frustrating.
Can you imagine Liberty number 1 seed plays first round, 2, 3, and 4 get a bye? Here, just for example.
That's so NCS.
That's gonna be a hashtag. That's so NCS. That's a hashtag right there. But also, Liberty Softball. I know you're listening. I know you're watching. Print the shirts. Liberty versus the world. Print these shirts.
Granted, looking at this bracket, there is no far travel. The furthest travel I think is Casa Grande. No, it's San Marin up to Napa. Oh, and Vintage.
They went Vintage last year.
Yeah, Vintage is here.
And then they blew up. They blew the grapes off of Vintage. Aha.
So there's no McKinleyville. There's no.
Thank God.
There's no Ukiah.
Thank God.
There is a Calistoga in D6 though. So.
When you go in an elevator, do you look at the floors below you? When you go into a building, when you're walking upstairs, do you look at the steps behind you? Are we looking at D6?
I mean, a school named Hoopa Valley. That's interesting.
I need that matchup.
Hoopa Valley.
Hoopa.
Akalani's in D4. That just doesn't sound right.
What was your record?
I don't know. I don't want.
Is this your rankings?
I don't want. Yeah, it's just the rankings. I don't. Well, I'm just looking at this. Okay. We already went on our rant. I'm not going on another one.
Cloverdale 19-2 with a minus 4.3 strength of schedule.
What league are they in?
First of Cloverdale, top 5 name. The fact that your name is named after a world-ending movie and one of the best series of all time. I'm with it.
Who's in their league?
I'm looking at it. They are in
Canyon, maybe?
There's a North Central League. Where is Cloverdale? Where in California is it?
But who else is in the league?
All right. Oh, they're out. They're north. Okay, so it's St. Helena, Cloverdale. St. Helena finished 14-0, 20 for different, same record as Liberty, just more league games. Cloverdale, Kelseyville, Clear Lake, and Lower Lake.
Yep, that's up. Yep, that's up there.
Yep. Fort Bragg, Upper Lake, because the Holy Trinity, I guess, and Middletown.
Maybe that's why Castro Valley is the one seed. Maybe that's why Castro Valley is the one seed, because they got those crosses.
I had a friend coach at Lower Lake. The amount of stuff I heard about that school.
Really?
Oh my God! I can't say on this podcast.
So what if Castro Valley is the one seed because they got the crosses right off the freeway? Was that 580?
Listen, then it's God's plan. I'm not going to argue that.
It's not even a Catholic. It's not even like a religious school.
That's what I'm just saying. It's God's plan. Listen,
anyway,
you and I both know this. We've been in Sunday school. God chooses his strongest soldiers. Apparently, the Trojans are stronger than anyone until they face lions.
Funny enough, their logo is not on Max Preps for whatever reason.
I'm not here to argue politics.
It's just a big. It's just a C.
It's just a C.
Yeah.
I saw that earlier this year, and I was just like, "This is a decision." I don't know what kind of decision it is, but it's a decision. So we're gonna find out the seedings on Sunday. I'm really curious what this is gonna look like. I think we pretty much have it down for baseball.
I'm very concerned.
I feel like baseball's
what this is gonna look like.
I feel like baseball's gonna be a lot more direct.
Yeah.
I feel like softball is gonna be an absolute mess.
Yeah, because there's just not enough teams for 6
brackets. Also, if Liberty is not a 1 seed, I expect to see riots on Second Street.
I am very concerned what these brackets are going to look like.
This is going to be.
I'm very concerned.
You're going to have one matchup that's just like 2 buys.
On that note, oh wait, no, Liberty would get a bye. Oh, there's 3 buys anyway.
So they should have one, but also like. Watch, Liberty's going to McKinley, bro. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hate Sunday. I'm telling you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Press Talk Sports Live. Each and every week, we try to shed spotlight here and give a voice to sports here in the Brentwood and Oakley area. Don't forget, this podcast is brought to you by the Brentwood Press. For as low as $20 a year, you too can get a subscription to the Brentwood Press newspaper. To keep up with everything happening here in East County, go to thepress.net for more. Don't forget to check out the new sports Instagram, the press_sports. Really appreciate you guys for supporting that. For Juan Cebreiros, who is now on the countdown clock.
God bless.
He can't wait to get back to God's country of Fresno. I am your sports editor, Jeff Weisinger. Thank you so much for joining us, and as always, take care of one another. We will catch you soon.